The most valuable thing that I'm learning while being here in Bali with these fine gentlemen is self-expression. And that's scary because there's so much inside of you. And if you feel like if you talk and if you get everything out, then the wrong things may come out. And then the social environment gets destroyed. And then you have to go back to wherever you were and you ruin your whole relationship. So it's a tricky fine line between full on self expression and what is calibrated to say in social situations. And the best example maybe that I've seen in my life is Reese. Reese is so unfiltered and not caring about what he's expressing, and he says he's not always been like that, which I can't imagine how he was before this. So I'm curious to know more about that.
No, well, you said I've not always been like that. What do you mean? I said that?
Well, you said that maybe a few years ago or a decade ago, you were kind of stifled and you were holding back your self-expression.
Yeah, this is good actually. So it's actually been like a dance between going into hiding and then a build-up of pressure behind the expression, and then so it's been like I've been like super stifled where I don't say like when I first came to Bali, there was people coming into the mix and I would just go like this. You know, I wouldn't say a word. Same thing when you came into the mix as well. You was like, if I start doing it, I feel like I'm gonna everything's gonna get destroyed around me. I don't want to say it. So there was like a game of hide where I'm like, oh, don't want to be seen, but then I suffer that so much, and then when the expression comes online, it comes online like bang. So I guess like yeah, it's just there's a bit, it's like the pressure that the diamond builds. So it's like the pressure builds up with the being, and then it builds up into this thing, and then the expression just fucking pops out the top of my head, you know. And I think that's sort of like what most beings go through, this sort of like build up of thing. I think you were talking about this as well, Thor, where it's like you can literally feel the anxiety, and you can feel like the actual tension in your body if you don't do it.
I feel like speaking into this because like yesterday I remember you guys in a business meeting were just like, you were full sending it. There was a lot of energy, a lot of like aggression, it almost felt like. And for me, I felt like I was shutting down in the presence of that energy. And so I think something I'm learning is how to ride it instead of like falling victim to the external energies. Like even right now when you're speaking, there's like anxiety in my system. I feel like it's almost like intimidated in a way. I'm like, what do I do here? So I guess, yeah, I'm curious to hear like what, you know, if you've experienced that in the past, like before you were coming online, where you felt uncomfortable in other people's expression.
I think, no. The truth, and I know this is a thing for a lot of people, I think this is actually part of like me as an archetype. Every time that I would be in a room and I would see somebody come online, I'm always like, go. Like, please go. Like I am always waiting for somebody like to grab onto someone's coattails energetically in some ways, you know. So yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why the energy is so free flowing is because when I see somebody blossoming, like as long as it's like integrated and you're not harming anybody, like I want to see that. Maybe it's because like I've been stifled for so long, and also like I feel the pain of that, and also like we live in a world that like is very mundane for a lot of the time. So anytime that somebody is like expressing themselves and doing that dance, like I guess like I don't want to use these like projector words or whatever as like a thing, that the reason being, but no, like I'm always looking for the highest good in individuals, I guess. And if someone's fucking sending it, please Lord, you know, like send it, mate, because otherwise like yeah. And it also helps me come online seeing Thor, and also to be fair, you've done the same thing as well. It's interesting how you say you feel anxiety in the presence. Maybe you do that, but you was one of the first people to really like acknowledge it, you know. I remember coming and I remember saying to you in the room, you was like, yeah, I feel this, but full send it though, you know. So it was like in somewhere you do feel that, but at the same time, like you want deep down at the core, you have that as well. Like you're like, no, just go, Reese, even if it makes me feel this way, like just go. So
Yeah, 100%. Like it's not, I can't be defending that, you know. Like when I see energy that wants to get liberated, I'm like, liberate. Even when I woke up this morning, I was just like, send it was in my mind, you know. And so I kind of want to, it's very inspiring to witness you both in that state, especially for me, like having come from being in silence, I guess, for God knows how long. I was speaking to Shiva about this earlier. Like God knows how many months I was sitting there just like gaslighting myself into being silent because I was one with awareness and there was nothing to say and nothing to do. But that was just becoming bypass, you know? And so this is like the polar opposite. It's like you go from stillness to movement, nothingness to everything. And this is what feels like the integration, full integration, is going out and penetrating life, penetrating every situation that you're in, every social interaction with energy, you know? And so I think you guys are doing it in a very powerful way, and it's supporting my expression with coming online as well.
It's like life is like craving this. Like everybody is craving everyone to just give it energy, you know? It's like a space. When you move into a space and you give it energy, that's what we want, you know? When you're on the dance floor, we want to give it energy. When you're in a conversation with somebody, we want to give it energy, and it's being able to just we are terrified of giving the things energy. That's why, like you said, going into these silent states, these meditative states, it's like a bypass, you know? And I did the same thing as well. It's like, because when you come online, when you're like actually giving the reality the energy that it deserves, it's like you become closer to reality, you know? Like that is literally what reality is. It's energy. And look, there is another side of this coin in some ways. You don't want to be going into a library and just like screaming and shouting all over the gaff, you know, because that would be silly. But in like contained spaces or in places where you can give your energy, like in these dynamics or when you're on the dance floor, you see most people when they're on the dance floor, they're not willing to give it the energy because they're terrified of their own energy. They're terrified of feeling that. So yeah, like obviously it's about being like a little bit tactile about the environment that you're in sometimes, but also as well, like sometimes it is just about like right now we're walking in a fucking shit show of a reality. Like everybody's just in a state of just like autopilot, and sometimes just a big loud noise every now and again, or like a big expression just to break people from the paradigm of thought form so they can, and they're gonna hate it, but that's actually a big gift, like triggering the fuck out of people by just being a fucking, like a big intense energy. It's probably one of the biggest gifts that you can give people, you know, just like showing them, look, like,
You can do it too.
yeah, it doesn't have to be so, like, I don't want to say boring, but like, it doesn't have to be like this. Like life doesn't have to be the way that it is right now. Like we can change it, but it needs every single person's effort and striving and like willingness to fall fully into life, like getting fully intimate with life, giving your all to life. And then if you give your energy to life, it will reciprocate the energy that you're giving to it, but without falling into it fully. I think Sadhguru talks about it. It's like, I'm always living close to death. Like, and if I'm not living close to death, if I can't die every single moment in some ways, then this is boring. You know, life gets boring to me. And that's sort of how it is, you know? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just like giving yourself to life fully and not leaving anything off the table, you know? Like when we get to our deathbed and we look back, like what we've given and how much we've tried to experience, even through the pain and through all these things, like that is going to be that's going to be the deciding factor of what the next realm's going to be when you pass over. Like, have you given yourself fully to this experience whilst we chose to came down here? Or did we just sit there and hide away from the experience of, the inevitable experience of the human life? You know, it's an inevitable thing. Let's just run the thing whilst we're here. We're going to die anyway, so might as well live.
It's interesting because every single time I've stepped into like a new form of expression, there's so much fear. There's so many limiting beliefs. Like traveling to a new country, oh, how do I do that? Oh, maybe this thing, oh, maybe that thing. Oh, I gotta figure out this thing, I gotta figure out that thing. Like there's so many things, even snowboarding. Oh, I wanna learn snowboarding. Oh, but I gotta buy the equipment, and where should I go? And I should maybe go with somebody, and maybe this thing, oh, it might be dangerous. Like there's so many things stuck in the way for us coming into more expression just across the board. But anytime you do that, you reap the biggest rewards. Anytime you do that, you like fucking snowboard for the first time, you come home and it's like you ride that wave of the fact that you went snowboarding for like a week, anytime I go to the slopes with the boys, like I'll ride the fact and that energy, the fact that I did that for a whole week after the fact, because it just frees me. And I've noticed how me sending my snowboarding expression is supporting my painting expression, is supporting my sales experience, is supporting my content creation process, is supporting my writing, is supporting my presence with my mom. Like, it's a feedback loop. Everything wins. Every aspect of your expression improves when you go into expression. And this is where the whole, concept of everything is connected. You can see that in practical reality. Like, literally, you can see that everything is connected. How the fuck does sales calls closing rate have anything to do with snowboarding? Well, it's self-expression. It's life force coming online. It's like, imagine inside of your belly is this like pool of water. It's like this little lake, and snowboarding is a river that pours into this lake. You go snowboarding, boom, more water kind of pours into this lake. You start painting, something that you've been wanting to do, boom, more water runs into this lake. You start public speaking, you talk to that girl, you say that thing to that friend that you've been kind of like, hiding from and not wanting to say because it's uncomfortable, boom, more water. And all of this water pours into this lake, and that's you. That's your energetic frequency. That's your soul. And so the more you express, the more you essentially invest in your own soul, you invest in your own spirit, and you become electric, and people just want to be around that, because at the essence, you're just full of life. And I think that's what we're all here to do, is just fill up our cups so much that we can just vibrate all over on everyone.
Yeah, this material world is God's expression. It's God's creativity. It's the life force has blossomed. I mean, look at it. Just look at the vastness of creation. That is, so when we start expressing and tapping into our creative genius and our innate creativity, that is us becoming closer to that energy. And it's not even just like a responsibility, it's actually our birthright to experience our creativity at this core essence. Because look, like, if the creator didn't want this to be the case, do you think that all these beautiful eclectic mixes of plants and wildlife and animals and just the unique nature of 8 billion people on a planet that all have a unique experience, that all have a world just as complex and just as profound as your individual unique experience? Think about the complexity and the beauty and the paradox and how profound that whole thing is. So if you're able to actually tap into your own unique creativity, your own unique blueprint, which has been written within the genetic code of your being, then that's when you really start to liberate, feel fulfillment. And when you see that like a being is in that state, that's why we have like artists, where an artist will get up on stage and an artist will sing, and everybody goes to see that. Why did people go to see that? It's because the artist is expressing themselves. And society and culture follows art in many ways. So that means that reality is literally shaped by the creativity and by the expression of certain individuals. People who create culture and create the movements, these are people that are fully tapped into that expression. And every single individual on the planet is equal in that right. It might seem like that's not the case when you are completely locked in a realm where you feel completely stifled and you're in environments that aren't supportive of that. But if you keep on striving, this is the thing, I spent 6 years, even longer than that, thinking that I was never going to find anything close to community or for me to come back online again. I thought I'd lost it, this is me on my own. But I had to sit there in the isolation of my own heart and the isolation of my own being. And I had to strive for something higher than myself and know that there was a higher thing there that was going on. And I just had to keep on fucking keeping on through the pain. And one of the most beautiful things about art and the most beautiful things about expression, what you'll see, you get to the place where you're able to express when you've been able to really go into the pain. All art, the foundation of art mainly is pain. And like a flower, when it blossoms, it's the mud that creates that. And if you don't have good soil, which is the dirt, then you don't have a blossoming flower. So if you are going through pain, if there is suffering that's going on, it's very, very important to know that that is the manure that's being set to enable for that to come through. there is no really beautiful expression without both polarities of that expression, you know? That is what art is. That is the beauty of life, you know? The beauty of life and what art and expression is, it's painfully beautiful. It's not just beautiful. It's very, very deep, and that energy is very, very intense and very, very like, you can be brought to tears by it. That's why when you listen to a beautiful piece of music, like, you can be brought to tears from that. And when you see a real expression online, people will tear up. So yeah, like, the pain is the bedrock for human expression, you know? And if you are in that state where you are in pain and you are suffering, but you see somebody expressing around you, just try and give them as much grace as possible, and just like see it as an opportunity for a direction as to which you can grow in, as opposed to trying to bring them down because you feel inadequate in that presence.
Yes, 100%. I was going to add to that, like, I feel like society's constructed in a way to suppress creativity and to suppress self-expression. And even, not even just suppress it, but even try to alter it or change it. Like, if you look at some of the artists that are speaking and or singing and influencing the world, there are certain entities or corporations that will try to leverage that, you know? And so we have to remain sovereign, and we have to remain, attached to expressing creativity in the world, you know, and not letting ourselves get siphoned, I guess you could say. I lost my train of thought, but that's what's most present right now. It's like, it's our duty. It's our duty to express ourselves, you know. And if we're not doing that, we're sabotaging life, you know.
I want to take a kind of a devil's advocate perspective, or maybe the viewer's perspective, because I'm sure you've been in situations, and everybody here has been in situations, or most of us, that when we see people that are fully expressing themselves, or are loud, or really expansive, it's like some people, maybe not here, but like, oh, that's like, come on, what are you doing, or stop that, or especially in your childhood, no, don't do that, don't be so loud, and kind of stifle that. So I wonder what that is, why that's happening. Maybe because you secretly deep down want that too. Everybody wants full self-expression. And also, not only this, but when people are fully self-expressing, and I know this from my own personal experience being here, living in this house, how these guys are, that kind of shuts me down at some points. When they're really loud, fully expressive, and just full-on energy outwards, it's like, oh my God, what do I do? How do I do this? How do I deal with this? And I don't want to be like this. I want to be fully expansive. So I'd love to hear their perspective on this.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. It is fucking intimidating, you know? It is intimidating. It's like, it's intimidating, I guess, to like the primal nature that we've got ingrained in our DNA. It's like, oh, because this person is so loud and expressive, he's the alpha, and he's taking up space from me, like he's taking from me, so I have to sort of backpedal. If I go and fully express as well, there's going to be a battle, it's going to be dangerous, it's going to be scary. And also, you're afraid of yourself in that way, you know? And that's why as well our parents shut down our kids' expression, because they're actually afraid of it. They're afraid of the loudness, they're afraid of the stuff that just is too much. And on a system that is very constricted, yeah, it is too much. And if you fully go into that, you're literally going to feel like you're dying. And so when you see us sending it like that, there's literally a death process that's being asked of you to happen. And the only way you step into more expression is by going through that death process, which means then in those moments, for example, maybe not sitting down and meditating, but actually standing there on the dance floor and maybe trying to move your body and feeling like an idiot and like, I'm adding nothing, and look at these guys, they're so elegant in the way they dance, even though we look fucking retarded when we dance in the house. It's like you all this self-judgment, and you just stay in that, you know? You just stay with that. And yeah,
you know, I was gonna say, it's interesting that I feel very similar to Shiva in the sense that I almost want to set boundaries on other people's expression. It's like, no, that's too much. Like, I got to put that in a box. And to be honest, like, even when we were in the business together, like in Traffic Hive, like, I was like always trying to contain your expression, actually, until one day I was like, you know, I surrender. And then you became the face or whatever. But that's been my nature. Like, I've wanted to be in positions of power so that I can control the beings around me, which is really interesting. And maybe it's like my fear of losing power in a situation. Maybe it's my own lack of integration of my expression. But yeah, there's definitely like something that wants to be done there.
I think there's two sides of it as well, because I think actually you can set boundaries around other people's expression. You know, if like a dog's barking all the time, yeah, that's annoying, and you want that dog to shut up, you know? So I think like it's a responsibility for the person that is in an expressed state. So first of all, be conscious of the room that they're in, and also like sensitive to the environment, so that they don't like say for example you have extroverted people and you have introverted people. If you have introverted people in the mix that are being made to feel uncomfortable by what it is that you're doing, then there is a time and a place, and there is some sensitivity that needs to be had. But there's that side of the coin, which is true. But there is also, but it feels like the pendulum at the moment has swung so much in the direction of suppressing expression. Like you said, like society is in a state right now where like it wants to literally just have robotic human beings that are completely disconnected from their nature. So the pendulum swung so much in the direction of just like when you go to school, it's just like shh. It's always just shh, put your hand up. You've always got to be asking permission to speak, and it's like children should be seen and not heard. This sort of mentality has sort of polluted the psyche of the individuals. So it feels like right now, like the truth and the energy that wants to come through is the energy of allowing individuals to like, all right, look, like maybe there's a few people are going to be made to feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it is like a responsibility now for people that have got the ability to come online and express, to do that and to push it out there, but also to be sensitive to the environment that they're in, and don't send people loopy, you know? Like you don't want to send somebody into a situation where they're just like completely disconnect from because it might send people the other way. Like somebody's expressing, someone feels uncomfortable, they just think, fuck that guy. And then they'll never go in that direction. So the expression, it needs to be coming from a clean place, number one. This isn't just a case of just like being like a tyrant and just like being really loud and going into spaces. And like, for example, when we was going around on the scooter, we was like skirting on our bike in like a beautiful area, you know, look, like respect the environment that you're in some ways as well. Like skirting different places, but like there is certain etiquette that you should follow when you've fallen into certain cultures. Like you're not going to be going around Bali or into certain cultures and just disrespecting them by being completely loud and online all the time. But there needs to be a time and a place. And also, so if we just cultivate this energy here, there's a time and a place to raise the energy into that place, then we can bring that out. And then truth be told, when you're silent, the expression allows the mind to get liberated and the energy to get liberated, and then you carry that energy in silence around with you anyway. And then just you as an energetical field, you reverberate that out, and as a byproduct, people will receive the energy without you needing to actually express. So like people like Sadhguru or enlightened beings, just their energetical state alone is creating that liberation with being very, very silent and very, very still. But as it stands at the moment, most human beings do need to get to a place where they have the actual physical action and they have the physical expression to allow themselves to get to that energetical state so they can be there. But if you go to like Isha or if you go to these like retreat centers, you'll see that people are losing their marbles. Like you go to sit with Sadhguru, there'll be people just going, ah! Just like randomly in the audience, you know, because it's so much energy, you know, and the energy has to move and the energy has to go somewhere. So it's a balancing act, you know. We need to be very careful with our expression and just make sure that we're not harming people. But as long as it's in a harmless state, then, you know, like, look, we need to keep on building and keep on pumping. And if people like me and you want to keep raising the roof, we need to collect and connect together, and we need to keep raising the frequency as big as we can. And then bang, you know, like as a byproduct, everyone will benefit from that.
Yeah, it's interesting, this whole dance, because also to your initial question, Shiva, the fear is what you want to follow. Like you can tell, like your heart's like, ooh, like, man, if I did that thing, like you can see yourself on the other side of doing whatever that thing is, and it's like, fuck, I want that reality so bad. I just, like, if I could just talk to her, that girl, and then we're in a conversation, like that would be so nice, and I'd feel so liberated. But it's like I can't bring myself to doing those things. It's like it is that painful, it is that intense many times. And for me, I kind of, at this point in my journey of self-expression, I was kind of hoping that I'd be past that level of intensity when it comes to certain aspects of expressing myself in reality. But still, I find myself just absolutely clenched up and like almost being consumed by this anxiety and this stress because it's so outside my comfort zone. Like going on speaking on stage, for example, like way outside my comfort zone. But it's like I just have to do it. Like I have to do it, because if I don't do it, I'm gonna be so sad and disappointed with myself that I didn't do when I had the opportunity, and that pain is way, way, way worse. And it's been the case in all areas of life. Like the last kind of big thing I remember, this is kind of funny, the last big like piece of anxiety I felt around self-expression was this winter going to like one of the biggest ski resorts in Norway, and they had these big jumps, and I was like, man, I need to fucking hit these jumps. Like I'm not leaving this fucking day in the slopes without hitting one of those jumps. And as we're getting into, you know, kind of warming up, getting groovy on the board, and then there's this one jump that I spot, and I'm like, I need to do a backflip on that jump. Like I just have to send it. I want to do a backflip on that jump so bad. I tell my friend, and he's like getting fucking gassed up because like yeah, you're gonna do it, and I can feel it. And like the anxiety is so insanely loud in my body, and I ride that down there, and I'm just gonna fucking send it. If I land on my neck, like I got a thick neck, so like I'll probably survive. I'll probably be fine. And I send it, and I do the cleanest backflip I've ever done in my life. And mid-air, fully suspended, fucking just full out, arms up, fucking chest out, like the perfect scorpion curve. It was like, hello God. And then boom, perfect landing, and it was such a spiritual experience because of how liberating it was. And I'd never thought to, you know, connect with God mid-air on a fucking big jump doing a backflip on snowboard. But there he was, you know? And so it's like all of that to say, leaning into that fear in all aspects is literally the way you liberate yourself, and it is where God wants you to move. It is the pain that she wants you to move into for the sake of liberation and growth. And man, after that, I was fucking gassed, and I could fully chill and like just do the dance, and my boys were gassed up. Like everybody was just like, you fucking did that, we got the video, I could show it on Instagram. It's like the win is just like, oh, so fucking underrated. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, I think it all ties into a relationship you have to fear at the end of the day. It's like if you feel fear in your body and you have a story around what that means, it's like, oh, I feel fear, therefore I am not going to do the thing, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. But if you feel fear and you see it as a sensation in the body, but you don't create a story around it, you can do the thing unconditional to the sensation. So what the process is, like for me at least, gradually over time has been just like watching it. It's like, okay, I feel sensations in my body. What is fear? Fear is literally just sensations and stories tied to sensations. And so I think if we become aware of that without judging it, watching it, loving it, because a lot of the time the fear was created from the younger version of yourself that was shut down or was put down in a certain situation, and the body's literally just locked in that specific time. And so if we can love that part of ourselves, accept it, welcome it, allow it to feel what it's feeling, I think that's what allows us to do things unconditional to the emotion and the sensation.
I'm so glad that Thor brought up this example of the biology and the primal nature of humanity, because it's so absolutely true. And I actually see it now why I get a little bit anxious or uncomfortable or triggered when these guys are fully expressing themselves, because it feels like, is it time to fight? Am I gonna have to fight? These guys are, you know, okay, what do? Do I take up space? Do I push back? So yes, definitely the primal nature is there. And also that's beautiful. We don't want to stifle people's expressions. I never want to do that. And I love energy. So wherever the energy comes from, I'm happy to receive that.